Hey y'all, it's Tony's TC Coleman, Drummer Knows Best podcast, of course. And today I got a real energetic, happy guy that loves playing drums like myself. And he's right now with Ringo Starr, and he's been with that gig forever. And ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for him so he can hear you through the computer. Gregg Bissonette.
Hey, Tony T.C. Coleman, drummer knows.
That's what I'm talking about.
Subscribe, like, and share on all platforms.
Hey y'all, Drummer Knows Best with my podcast, Unlimited Conversations about drumming and everything else. And today, one of the best, my brother, my friend, like no other, Gregg Bissonette.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks for having me on your show, man. And we're going to be playing together at Woodstick this weekend. I'm so excited.
Yes, we are, man. It's always a treat to be around you and play with you, man. You're such an inspiration, bro.
Well, so are you, Tony. So are you. I love your studio there, man. You got the peace flag and you got drummer knows best. Remember Father Knows Best? Of course you do, because that's probably what you got
Yes.
the name.
It should have been Mothers Know Best back in the
Mothers,
day, right?
mothers and fathers.
Right.
What, you got a harmonica there?
Yeah. I don't know how to play it, though.
Harmonica. Play some harmonica.
I got Gregg Bissonette, and we ain't done nothing yet.
I can't hear the
Stand
harmonica.
by.
The harmonica doesn't come out over the audio.
No, it probably didn't. Good.
There's a weird
That's a
setting.
good.
There's a
That's
weird
a good.
setting. Sorry, go ahead. We got a bad delay.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
That's a good. Hey,
That's a good thing. You can't hear it.
can you hear the drums?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a guy come over, a recording engineer, and tweak my computer because there's all these Zoom settings you got to have to get the audio with an instrument for some reason. Like when you start playing harmonica, it just stopped. So there's like
Yeah, I know.
there's a setting or something. So anyway,
I got all my setup is from dollar store, so what can I say?
dollar store. I got mine from the French store, Target.
Hey, Greg, look, I really appreciate you doing my podcast, man. It's like it's been really good so far. I got about 12 of us, man, and be sure to check it out because it's like we're just having conversations about what we do and how we do it and all of that stuff, and you just want to inspire people to just have fun and do, we're always having fun when we play drums. It's like fun, man. It's not about, being a big time star and all of that. It's just drumming and we have fun doing it. And you're one of the best at having fun, man. I mean, wow, you started at North Texas State. I know you were there for a while playing, right?
Yeah, well, I started in Detroit. My dad was a drummer, and my mom played jazz vibes in my dad's band. And then,
Oh, cool.
yeah, that's how I started really. But North Texas was later. I don't know how much you want me to talk about stuff. I could talk forever.
Well,
But
I know, but I don't really because everybody knows I know you're from Detroit and all that, but when you were drumming and then you left there and you pursued your career, you moved to LA and the rest is history. Here you are today. I mean, but that period from leaving and deciding I'm going to Los Angeles, what was it like for you mentally, man?
it's funny because Tony, I decided I was coming to Los Angeles before I decided I was going to North Texas. I knew that,
Oh, really?
yeah, I knew that I had the dream. I used to watch, the Johnny Carson show, and I would think, boy, wouldn't it be cool to live in LA and be able to go to the beach early in the day and then go be the house drummer, be the Ed Shaughnessy guy on the Tonight Show. And Ed was a really good friend of mine. So I knew that I wanted to play big band stuff like the Tonight Show band. But my favorite big band was Maynard Ferguson. The first band I ever saw, my dad took my brother and I to see the Beatles when I was 7 and Matt was 5. And then the second band I saw a year later, my mom and dad took me to see the Count Basie band. They were playing at a local high school gymnasium, the Madison Heights High School gymnasium, the Count Basie band with Rufus Jones on drums. And so I love, my favorite kind of music is pop music,
Right.
Beatles especially. My second favorite kind of music is And that includes all styles of pop, like Beatles, but Earth, Wind and Fire, probably my
Of
second favorite
course.
band ever. Funk, and growing up in Detroit, Motown, and Smokey Robinson, the Miracles, Diana Ross and the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, the Temptations, and just having 24/7 CKLW radio where it was Motown, 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 and then bands like Led Zeppelin and Hendrix. I mean, I call all that, even though it's rock and
Yeah.
funk, I call all that popular music, but then pop, stuff you'd hear on the radio. But then big band was a huge part of my life, and my dream and my prayers were to please, Lord God, Heavenly Father, help me get the gig with Maynard Ferguson. And I knew that was my dream gig. And then
Mm.
I wanted to move to LA. So my parents at the dinner table one night, they said, so you want to go to North Texas State? It's a great school. It's a great kind of a farm club for the big bands, but what are you going to major in? And I said, well, I'm going to major in performance. And my dad, in his ultimate wisdom, he never went to college. My mom never went to college. My dad drove a bread truck in Detroit and delivered bread and played jazz gigs at night in his wedding band. He said, well, why do you need a degree that says you can perform? You're performing all around Detroit. You have a band, Grand Circus Park, with your brother. We're like the band Chicago, Danny Serafin kind of tribute band. You play all these gigs all over Detroit. You don't need to move to LA with a degree that says you can perform. Why don't you do what the sax player in my wedding band does? Or did in school. And I said, what did Mr. Matchelette do? He said he got a music ed degree. He teaches middle school band. He locks his door at 3 o'clock on a Friday, doesn't have high school marching band, middle school band. He opens his door at like 8 in the morning on a Monday. He has the whole summers off. He can play jazz Caribbean gigs on cruise ships. And he doesn't have marching band all summer, middle school band director. And I thought, I'm going to get a music ed degree. So then I moved to LA with that degree, thinking that, man, if I don't make it playing, if I don't make enough money to get married and have a family and have a house and all the things you dream about when you're a
Mm.
teenager, then I'm going to be able to get a job being a middle school band director in LA. So that was my dream, and I never needed to really do the middle school band directing thing, but I get to do clinics like you and I both do, and we educate
Yeah.
through our drum clinics. And
Yeah.
I love watching you play drums, and your joy is so great. But I also love when you teach. And last year at Woodstick, Tony, I got to hear you do your clinic, and the things you said to all the drummers. You're so inspirational, man.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that, what you're saying, because that's what I got growing up, with the older cats. They were just teaching me, man. And like I'll be 70 in August. But when we were around the same age, I may be a little older than you.
I'm 65. I got 5 years. We're the same exact generation, though.
Yeah, but back in the day, man, it was guys teaching and preaching you the rules of how to be not only a good drummer, but how to be strong and get in there to be successful at doing it. And I would be around older cats growing up, and cats would be smoking, snorting, drinking, and they'd be doing it in front of my young butt. And they'd be saying, if you ever do this, I'll kick your ass. Don't ever do that. You focus on the music. They were like fussing and cussing at you every day to be the best you could be and
While
be
they're
strong.
doing it, though.
Yeah, yeah, and I'd be like,
Don't
so
listen to what I say. Watch what I do. That's not the
yeah,
best example, but anyway, yeah.
yeah, but it may not be the best example of what to do, but the idea that, I listened to those older cats because they had the wisdom and they knew. And now I'm in that position. I'm talking to younger cats sometimes that they look at me and go, well, I don't know, old man, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay. It's just like you were talking about Ed Shaughnessy at the Tonight Show drummer. I met him at Frank's Drum Shop in Chicago.
I love
And
French.
yeah,
Go up that
and I
elevator, man.
yeah, take the elevator up, and Maury LaShawn introduced me to him, and I met Papa Joe Jones there at the clinic, and it was cold. It was really cold in Chicago, and he had
Chicago, it was cold. By the lake,
yeah,
coldest city in the world.
right, and he had on his big coat, had on his fedora, and had a scarf around his neck, and I'm like young guy with my little jacket and my collar open, and he said, "This is Miss Papa Joe Jones. You should ask him a question or something." So I said, "Hey, Mr. Jones, I got a question." He said, "Yeah." I said, "What can I do to be successful like you?" And he said, and all the old jazz cats, I don't know why they had gravelly voices. He was like, "Well, first of all, you need to get a coat and a scarf around your neck because you ain't gonna make it."
Don't die of pneumonia first.
Right. But we should share what we know to help people and inspire people. That's why I love you, because you're always up, man, and it's just a treat to be around you because you're so positive. And then I look at your career. You've been drumming with like all of those different situations you just spoke of, but you still do it with a great attitude, and you're just persistent and consistent about doing it good, the best of your ability. Like David Lee Roth, you did that gig how long?
7 years. 7 years with Dave from 85 to 92. And the thing about, different styles of music, Tony, to me anyway, is I never wanted to try to be, I mean, there is no best at anything, but I never had the goal of like, I want to be the best jazz drummer in the world. I used to study Tony Williams, and I'd ask Tony Williams all kinds of questions like, weren't you intimidated, following, Billy Joe Jones? And he'd say, no, man, I was 17. I was too young and dumb to be intimidated. It wasn't until I was 25, 35, 45 that I started thinking, oh, Tony Coleman's in the room. What should I play that Tony would like? As we get older, we get those kind of insecurities. But I never really wanted to be like the best rock drummer, or the best jazz drummer, or the best Afro-Cuban drummer, or the best big band, or Beatles
Yeah.
music, or funk, or whatever. Garibaldi, Tower Power, whatever, James Brown. I just wanted to try to be the best I could be at every style, because music and drumming, Tony, as you know, but we're talking to the people out there right now, even though we're
Right.
in the guise of talking to each other. It's about kind of our appetite. Like if you just eat a cheeseburger every single day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a month, you're going to get real tired of cheeseburgers. If I was playing body and soul with brushes and a piano trio for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I don't even like playing body and soul with brushes anymore, because I did it for so many thousands of hours in weddings and clubs and jazz clubs. I don't want to play and let the horn player play for an hour. I want a drum solo with a feel that's got a good, when I have my own jazz band, we ain't playing body and soul with brushes for 45 minutes.
Right.
But I love doing different kinds of stuff.
Yes. Yes.
I can be at all of it, and I did love playing body and soul and listening to the horn player play for a half an hour. But then I love playing, September by Earth, Wind and Fire and getting people dancing. I love playing Twist and Shout,
Yeah, man.
there's Beatles. It's just great to try to do different kinds of stuff, because our appetite, you want a salad one day for lunch, you want pasta, you want a pizza, you want Indian food, you want sushi.
You're right. That's right.
The joy of food and the joy of music, it's real similar. You just don't want to do the same thing every
Yeah, it's kind of like Mr. Gump said, life is like a box of chocolate. You got
Absolutely.
different ones in there, and you should be aware of everything. I've always been like that. Like I learned a long time ago, don't just listen to what you like, because there may come an opportunity where you can do something that you may not like at all and still be successful doing it for a minute. And my perfect example is that is when I was hanging out with Willie Nelson, and I was up by the side field watching the show, and Willie walked over to me and said, "You want to come pick some?" And his drummer, Mr. Paul English, my big brother, rest in peace, he was like, "Come on," and I was like, "Pick some? Ain't that for guitar players? I can't play country." And they were just playing, going to Jackson. I'm going to Jackson, Tennessee, and I was thinking, I was so intimidated by the fact that I had never played country. So I was like, no. And then they were having fun. And my other friend, the guitar player, Mel Brown, was up there playing with them. They were having a good time. And I was like, dang, I'll never let this happen again. So I started paying attention to everything in case that happened.
I've always noticed that about you, Tony, even though, you've done so many amazing tours, you played with so many amazing people. You're always talking about, you could be on a BB King gig, and then, you go over and go. I went last night and I heard this band. Every time I've talked to you over the years, you're really interested in different kinds of music.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was in the hotel lobby one time. We were checking in the hotel, and our buses pulled up, and we got all BB King jackets and caps. We're like BB King of size, man. We got and I see, and it's an open bar in the lobby, and I see these guys with spiked hair and everything, and I go, "That's Judas Priest singer right over there," and it was Judas Priest. I knew who they were, but the other cats in BB's band, they didn't have a clue. And they saw us check it in, and the lead singer and a couple more guys walked up, and for whatever reason, they tuned in to me. They said, "Are you guys BB King?" I said, "Duh, yeah." And he said, "We're playing tonight, but are you guys playing?" I said, "No, we're playing tomorrow night." Anyway, without going through everything, he said, we'd like to meet Mr. King. Is he around?" So BB was walking in off his bus, getting ready to get his keys, and they were talking to him. And BB said, they said, "We love you, BB. We're a group, Judas Priest." BB said, "I know who you are. I've seen you. I watch you on MTV." Say, "You're the guy that comes on the motorcycle." There's
Yeah,
BB King. They didn't expect BB to be. He was aware of everything, and that's what I loved about BB and traveling with him, because I had so many opportunities to hang around you and different people in different situations. And then they invited us to go to the show. I went. They were so loud, all of that. The next day, I had one of their T-shirts, and BB saw me. He said, "I thought you were going to call me to come go to the show, son." And I was like, that's how I reacted. I was like, "You really wanted to go?" He said, "I said I wanted to go, didn't I?" He said, "Tony Coleman, sometimes you just don't listen, son." He was pissed off.
That's so funny with that generation, Tony, because Steve Smith invited, I was with Maynard and he was with Journey, Maynard Ferguson, big band. My brother
Mm.
with Maynard Ferguson, and he was playing in the Enormo Dome in Atlanta, and we were playing the theater in Atlanta. And Steve invited the whole band, and Maynard went with us, and he was so into. This is an arena. There's people way up there. The
Yeah.
brother was going like this. And the next day, he asked my brother on bass and the keyboard player Ron Pedley to get wirelesses so they could run around and be more
Yeah.
Journey-like, because they were open-minded.
Well, that's something that when we're together, we always talk about being versatile and listening to things that you think you don't like, because sometimes you get a situation to play something you may not like, but if at least try to be aware of it and pick up on different things, and
There's two things I don't like. There's two things I don't like, and I'm trying to be better at it, because
that?
it's just not something that I would just get in my car and, tune Sirius XM to this channel. And I'm going to be open with you right now, because it's about
Come
art,
on.
and it's about showing that even though we don't like certain types of music, we got to listen to them. And even though I don't like the lyrics and the vibe of these two different kinds of music, I like the drumming, and the drumming
Yeah.
is very challenging. You ready?
Let me guess. What is it?
Well, you
let me
guess. You guess. I like guessing games.
Uh,
There's two of them. Two things I don't really like to listen to, but I like the drumming, and I practice both of these styles, but I'm not very good at either one of them. But I'm getting better, thank God.
not metal. You play close
One
to
of them
metal.
is extreme death
Yeah.
metal with the Cookie Monster vocal, with the feet just going like. My feet are not that fast. I'm taking
Yeah.
lessons with this guy online that has a course, and I'm getting a whole new technique. And I'm like, but I want to get like, but I
Yeah.
like the drumming of it, Tony. But I don't. It sounds like Satan to me. The whole. I don't. It's not my scene. It's not what I wake. It's not what I wake up in the morning and can't wait to put on while I'm making my coffee, But like Thomas Hawka with Bleed, the bass drums, like the.
I hear you, but I know what you're doing. It's like. Yeah.
The bass drums coming through on the audio.
No.
See, we don't have this. But anyway,
It doesn't matter. We know what you're talking about.
and the other thing is, and I love the drumming of it, but I'm just not a big, huge fan of super gangster rap where it's
Yeah,
really good. And that,
all that my modes and my itches and all that. I know what you're
yeah,
talking
and
about.
the F bombs, and
Yeah,
as
I
a
hate all
Christian
that.
man, the GDs and everything. But the whole thing with the drunk German kind of,
Yeah,
you probably can't hear that either. But when I listen to guys like, well, all kinds of people, Chris Dave especially, or guys like even Anderson Paak. When I listen, Pac, when I listen to him, or Questlove, or that D'Angelo album, I must have bought 3 copies of that D'Angelo album, and I start to listen to it, and I go, I don't really like this. And then my friends,
yeah,
but the grooves are so cool. I said, it doesn't sound in time. They gotta fix that. They gotta make it. When I play a beat and I go like this, but my kids listen to the D'Angelo album, and they go, I really love that. I go, well, where's one? We're
yeah. Right, right.
so out of time. And I grew up playing in time. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Come on. Earth, Wind, and
Yeah.
Fire. James Gadsden, the Charles Watts 103rd Street Rhythm. And
Oh yeah, man.
that
And
stuff is
see,
in time. Bum, 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 bum.
yeah, man.
That's not, it's not all
But
around.
and
It's
what we've been talking about with all my guests, and you're gonna love all the guys: Will Calhoun, Paul, Peter Rivera from Rare Earth, and I got all these guys. But one thing we find today that's going on is, for whatever reason, drummers have overlooked the basic reason of being a drummer is to do what you're doing, to keep the groove going and the time going. And even if you're playing bop jazz, you still got to have a one in there somewhere where you got to connect to it. You can play around it, but now it's like everybody wants to be these speed, like you said, but it's about making human beings feel good, making people feel good. That's what we're supposed to do.
And
And
the thing about the drunk drumming thing and the D'Angelo record or whatever you listen to, Kendrick Lamar, even though that wasn't my favorite choice of song of the year, not like us. I mean, I would have rather have the Beatles Now and Then win. I think for me, it's a better song, and that's just a diss track. It's a diss track against Drake. That doesn't make me feel good, but it makes a lot of people feel good. So I can't be selfish and go, well, I don't really like that song. I don't think it's much of a song. I like Now and Then, but it ain't about me. It's about
yeah,
what did the voters vote and who's voting, who's on that nearest panel in the first place. Whoever it is, they must have felt passionate about that. That diss track against Drake must have made them feel pretty good. So God bless them, right? It's about making.
yeah, and once again, I'm not criticizing, we're not criticizing anybody, but the main thing about music is the communication of uplifting people's spirits and making them feel good. We're like shamans, man. We're like the ones that make people feel happy and feel good, no matter if it's this flavor, that flavor, or whatever, as long as it's making you happy and positive about living and enjoying life and appreciating and respecting different people. And that's why I like European festivals, because they don't just have a blues festival, a rock festival. They'll have the North Sea Jazz Festival, which will have Dwight Yoakam on it. It'll have Rufus and Shaka Khan. It'll have BB King or Graham Central Station. All on the same stage in the same area with all these different people. Like BB, we shared the stage with the Chili Peppers. The first time I met Chad Smith. But
like
those people, the people that listen to the Peppers, listen to BB with the same respect and enjoyment.
like the way the Monterey Pop Festival used to be.
Yes, yes,
It
yes.
didn't always used to be, Coachella, just rock, Stagecoach, just country.
Yeah.
In this country, in America, it used to be Bill Graham Presents, and
Oh,
you'd
I'm
see
sorry, I'm
all
shaking
these
my
different
computer.
bands on the same bill.
Exactly. That's why you remember Don Kirshner's rock concert and Midnight Special. You could see the Carpenters on there, and then you could see the Ohio Players.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about. I think it's interesting because you and I are very upbeat people. We're very God-filled people, very joyful people. But a lot of people, they're searching for something else. You know, when you think, here I am, a white guy telling a black guy about the blues, but from what I've been told by my friends that play blues and grew up playing blues, and my grandparents and their friends that sang the blues were originally designed like if you sing the blues and you sing about everything that's wrong and messed up in your life, it's a way of purging, it's a way of venting, it's a way of telling people,
Yes.
man, this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. I'm going to put it into a song. And it ain't always about the happiness and the joyfulness. It's often about like being able to, it's like therapy. And I
To
think,
let it go, to let it go.
and I let it go. And I think a
See,
lot
that's
of
why, and Greg, and that's why my personal thing that I say about what you're saying, I say to people all the time, the blues is the antidote to the blues, to blues. It's like if you got bit by a poisonous rattlesnake, you need snake venom to cure you from the poison. So blues cures your blues. It lets you let it out. It's like being expressive and get it out of your system, and keep it moving. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Let's go.
And I think a lot of the death metal stuff that I don't really listen to, that angst and that anger, I think that's a form of the blues. And I think that maybe people that listen to that who are going through deep depression or all kinds of problems in their life, they, even though you and I like to get happiness and joy out of our music. Maybe some of these people that are in a darker place, maybe suicidal, maybe addicts or whatever, maybe they relate to some of this stuff,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
heavy duty gangster rap and heavy duty angst, death metal stuff. Maybe they're getting that release that people got from the blues. What do you think?
I do. I agree with all of that. It's all about being able to be expressive, and drums are the first instrument that people could communicate with, more so than you didn't hear a bunch of acoustic guitar players uh, playing to another acoustic guitar player across the country, across the land. You heard boom, 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 boom. Oh, the enemy is coming over the valley or by the river. Blink, blink, blue, blink, blue, blink, blue, blue. We'll be ready. We'll be, the communication and drumming.
Absolutely.
We're
Communicate.
so, yeah,
Tony
it's more.
Williams. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
We got a bad
No, go
delay.
ahead.
Oh, Tony Williams used to say, that early on in jazz, he felt that the drums were way too soft. They'd have that big thing like the
Yes,
RCA.
yes.
Sorry, what? They'd have that big thing like the RCA Victor dog, and you'd see the dog with his ear. That was like a microphone, and they would put the clarinet right next to the shell, the microphone, and then they'd put the trombone, the piano, maybe acoustic guitar, and maybe a tuba or an upright bass, and the drums were way in the back. And Tony would say, because people are afraid of the drums.
Yes,
Tony Williams would say, people fear the drums because that's the instrument that can communicate people, can
that's
lead
right.
people to assemble and to go, yeah, the enemy's coming over the hill. The drums.
Yeah,
What we do is we get to be kind of the musical director in our bands because we pick the
always.
tempo, we choose the dynamics, and so the drums are people dance to the drums, right?
Yes, and the Grand Ole Opry didn't want to have drums in there for the longest time. They didn't even want drummers in the Grand Ole Opry. So, and today, it really pisses me off about today when I see drum kits on stage.
What's that?
That damn shield behind the shield.
Me too. Plexiglass.
What the hell? I mean, I'll take that damn thing. Get that out of here, man. I'm not playing
You know,
behind no damn glass.
you know what I think is the main reason that they have those? Because they don't have schooled, experienced engineers.
No.
They put the microphone for the singer right by the cymbal. They don't know
Right.
they don't know how to mix a band. And
No, they don't.
especially in a big, like the church I go to, it's a 3,000 seater. It's a big worship service. And we have a really great sound person, but some places I go to, the drums just echo and it's not a great
Of course.
venue, and they don't know how to really control the room. So they put the drummer in a
I know.
fishbowl, man.
I know, but I mean, Come on, man. Hey, we know how. That's why we have to learn how to play with dynamics and don't be like, you're in a room and you hear the kick drum go boom, boom. Then you're gonna have to muffle that. You're gonna have to muffle it, but you don't have to put the drums behind like for the engineer to be easy. And another thing, like I heard Miles Davis was asked one time, "Hey, Miles, what do you think about electronic drums?" He said, "Well, when you put a mic on them, they
They don't sound very good mic'd up. Tony, what's crazy is that I think maybe I'm just guessing, but say a scenario where a sound guy at a church goes up to the drummer and says, "Hey, can we take that front head off? Can we put a pillow in there and a mic stand bass and really get the bass drum to be?" And they'll go, "No, that's not my sound." Or can we put some of these, like Ringo tea towels on there? Can we deaden them up? No, that's not my sound. Can we put some gaffer tape? No, that's not my sound. So then the plexiglass goes up. If they
of course.
together, it's kind of like Democrats and Republicans. If you can work together and reach over
Yes,
the aisle, say, well, maybe we don't need the plexiglass. If you would tune your drums, deaden them up a little bit, and
that's right.
play like you said with dynamics. No, I
Yes,
want to play hard. This is me. This is the way I play. It's like gospel chops. Like, how fast can we play over Amazing?
yeah,
Can we cover up the words of Amazing Grace? Well, gospel chops, to me, the gospel is the word of God. And if you're covering up the word of God, or if you're covering up certain songs that have the word of God in them, you're not really following anything to do with the gospel. You're just
exactly.
stuff. So play for the song. If the song is Amazing Grace, play for the song.
Yeah, of course. And once again, I'm get off of engineers. I understand you got to control the sound and all that, but I'm talking about these funk bands, groove bands that, can you imagine James Brown had the drummers behind plexiglass? Can you imagine Ringo Starr and the Beatles, Ringo back there behind a glass, or whoever, or John Bonham, or Ed Shaughnessy or Louis Bellson or Art Blakey or Tony. No, man, learn how to, like we said. So I don't want to harp on that too much, but at least cut it down low where you can at least, I don't have to feel like I need some windshield wipers on it or something.
Well, for younger drummers, especially Tony, and I know you and I know all this, and we're talking for drummers that maybe are
Yes.
starting out here. But for young drummers that are starting out, young or old, the number one thing for me is if you're in a band and you're in a rehearsal studio, say nothing's mic'd or say everything's mic'd, and you cannot hear the singer, you're playing too loud.
That's right.
Miles Davis is the singer. He's playing trumpet. If you can't hear Miles Davis's trumpet, you are playing too loud. If he's got
That's right.
then go to brushes, because you got to be able to hear the lead voice. People want to hear the singer. They don't want to hear, the drummer covering up the singer.
So everybody, that's me and Greg just trying to get y'all to understand how we feel about these situations. But the bottom line is just working together with the engineer and the artist that you work with. The artist, there's no reason to turn around and go, "Hey man, let's pick it up." With anger, all you should do is just walk over and say, "Hey, let's pick this up a little bit." And we'll do it together. It don't have to be like, "Hey, slow it down." That kind of stuff. You don't do that to us. Just come up and say, "Hey, let's pull this one back a little bit, guys."
Well, that's a
However
whole
you,
That's a whole
yeah,
other chapter, Tony. To me, the whole tempo thing is so much in our court. And to me, any gig I do, man, I want to find out what's the set list. Are we doing covers? Are we trying to make the covers sound like the album version? Are we doing our own, like Ringo's All-Star Band? You've got all these different artists. You could have Todd Rundgren, Edgar Winter,
yeah.
Lukather, Hamish Stewart, Greg Raleigh, Colin Hay, and everybody's got their own tempo that they like. Maybe it's a little bit faster than the record. I mean, one of my biggest drags ever was going to hear my favorite band, Earth, Wind, and Fire. And these poor guys were thinking, yeah, man, to get the energy right, instead of, they're going,
Yeah.
as a fan in the audience, what song is that? That is not, fantasy. You're playing some song I don't even know. Singers, bands, when they get all the people out there, they're thinking, oh man, look at all the people. They have their double espresso. They're ready. They see some pretty songs out
Yeah.
there. I got to play it faster. And so don't play songs faster. That just makes them unrecognizable. As the drummer, now we have these little rhythm watches or Dr. Beats or your phone, and you can go, okay, that's a tempo. That's a tempo that's a little faster that they like live, and you count it off. You try to keep it there. With Ringo's band, we never have any discussions about tempo because in the rehearsal, I'll say to Todd Rundgren, where do you like to play? I don't want to work. I just want to bang on the drum all day. He said, no, I
Yeah.
don't get there anymore. I play it a little bit faster. So we'll play your guitar. And he'll go, chicka, 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 chicka. Oh, you're at this tempo. Okay, I tapped it in. I got it. Every night
Yeah.
I'll count it off at the same tempo. He said, you will? I said, I promise. And Ringo says, I love that you're doing that. He said, with the Beatles, I never counted off the songs. Paul would count the songs. 1, 2, 3, 4. He said, I hate counting off songs. So I get to have my little Tama rhythm watch. I get the tempo. I have it in one ear. I turn it on.
Yes.
I start the band. We never talk about tempos because, Tony, there's nothing worse than you and I having dealt with this for years. You're playing in church, you're playing at a bar, you're playing at an arena, and some singer or band leader turns around and says, slow it down, speed it up. Well, man, we should have that tempo in place that everybody likes.
Right.
Kenny Aronoff once told me a story about John Cougar's band. No, man, at sound check, it's way too fast. At the gig, it's way too slow. He said, no,
Yeah.
at sound check, you just got off the bus. We had a late night and you are running slow. You haven't had your coffee yet. It seems too fast. But at the gig, you see all these people. You've had your coffee. You're ready to go. It seems too slow. So just get that medium tempo and say, look, I'm the drummer. I got you. I don't usually write the songs and the chords or even the lyrics, but I know
Greg.
tempo.
And Greg, you get a front guy who's in charge of how he wants it to be. Go 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one of those you want, my man?
Don't let the lead singer count off the song. Now, Abe Jr. with McCartney, he's got a great concept. He's got his Tama rhythm watch, and they're getting ready to play Lady Madonna, and he's going like this. And Paul, he's tapping on his hi-hat, the tempo, and Paul's hearing that, and he's talking about, here's a song we did called Lady Madonna. And then he hears that hi-hat, and he goes, 1, 2, 3, on the piano. Boom, 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 boom. Because Abe gave him that tempo, because he might be excited or whatever. Help your singer. Reach across the aisle. Help your singer.
Communication.
Plexiglass.
Communication. Work together. Work like a team. Work like a team. We're here to help you be the best you can be. Let's work together like a catcher and a pitcher. He's giving you the signals. This guy needs a curve. You throw a curve. Okay. Got him. Bang. See, we worked together.
Fastball.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy about baseball, Tony? Because we are the same, similar age. When we were kids, I played a lot of baseball in Detroit. I was a big fan. When we were kids, a curveball, would be thrown and it would go like this.
Yes.
And a slider would be thrown and it would go like this. Now, they don't call it that. They call curves this. I mean, I watch a lot of Dodgers. I'm a Dodger fan. Oral Hershiser, one of the best pitchers ever from Detroit. He's even calling that a curve. That's a slider, man.
Hey, check this out. I know you gotta go, but I want to ask you this, and because I started out in a 2-drummer band, and you're now in a 2-drummer band playing together with another drummer. How is Ringo with you and he playing together? Are you following him, or Ringo's following you, or do you have a system that you guys make it work together, playing together? What is your system with that?
Thank you. Well, it is Ringo Starr and his all-star band. And people are coming to see Ringo, and he's the alpha dog. He's the alpha dog. He's my favorite song drummer. Tony Williams, my favorite jazz drummer. Elvin Jones. Jimmy Brantley's my favorite Afro-Cuban drummer. He's the guy that I look over 5 feet away, and in the middle of this, in the verse, he's playing in the middle of the snare. On the chorus, he's playing rim shots. On the verses, he's playing on the hi-hat. On the chorus, he's playing on the bell of the cymbal. He is the alpha dog. I might be counting out the tempos and letting them know where the tempo is. But when it comes to the dynamics and the feel, I look to my favorite song drummer, and he's the alpha dog.
Yeah, good. Well, the first band I played with was a two-drummer band. I love two-drummer bands. You know, you had Earth, Wind, and Fire when they had Freddie White and Ralph Johnson on that Gratitude Live. They were two drummers, you know. And then
Not
you
Ralph
had
wasn't playing percussion; he was playing drum set with.
they were playing. If you listen to Gratitude Live, it's two drummers, and I love that, like the Allman Brothers and
Yeah.
of course James Brown. But with James Brown, he never had both drummers playing together at the same time. It was like he'd burn one out and then go to the next one. And I'm going to have those guys that play with James Brown on my podcast. That's going to be good. But Doobie Brothers had two drummers, and Allman Brothers and Grateful Dead, and I love two drummer bands. It's just really cool to see the drummers together playing. Like and then you go to some of these gigs and they go, "You got two drummers?" Like, yeah, we just saw this band had 12 guitar players. So what the hell? You know?
Yeah, the thing about drummers, man, is if one person doesn't, like, you might say, "Look, man, you lead the way on this song. I'll lead the way on the next song." But the thing about it is, if one guy's playing and they're both trying to lead the way and they're not listening, it's challenging to play with two drummers, because it's like having a conversation. One of my main bitches about podcasts is because of the latency. Every podcast I watch, especially sports podcasts, they're always cutting each other off because they're not listeners like you are, Tony. You're listening to what I'm saying, and I think I'm a good listener. I'm listening to what you say, and I'm not cutting you off. But if two drummers are playing and they're not listening to each other and they're trying to be the alpha dog, then they're cutting each other off. They're going to do fills. Ringo will look at me, and if I'm going to do a fill, he won't do a fill. But if I'm looking at him, and you can tell when a drummer's getting ready to play a fill, I will not play a fill. But man, podcasts, interviews, you know, the news, I don't care if it's Fox, CNN, NBC, MSNBC, they're cutting each other off like crazy. And it's so frustrating. I just turn it off. I don't want to listen to people yelling over each other, cutting each other off. The art of listening, the way Johnny Carson would listen to Sammy Davis Jr., and he'd sit there and he'd listen to Sammy. And when Sammy was done talking, Johnny would pick up on what Sammy just said. And when Johnny was done talking, Sammy would pick up on what Johnny said. And you can change conversation the way we're doing it now. But the whole interrupting thing, people aren't listening anymore.
No, I agree with you. And that's one of the key things of being a great drummer or a great musician, is listening and listening. And with all the people that we work with, whoever hired us to come in, we watch them and we listen, because that's how you follow what they feel. And it's very difficult to do it from behind a person. So a lot of times the person may not make a movement, but you have to learn their body language. You have to know it and learn them. And BB would do, like, they say, "Do you guys have a set list?" I said, "No, we don't have a set list. If you find a set list up here, I'll give you $10 million, because there ain't one up here." They say, "How do you follow him?" We just follow and listen. If you've watched BB, he would be, before the song, you don't know what he's going to play next, he'll go, they go, "Okay, let's go there. You got it. That was the cue." But if you wasn't listening, you miss it. You know.
I hear you 100%, man. I feel so bad that I got to get on the 101 with wicked traffic.
Yeah, I know. You got to go.
But thank you for this, Tony.